So hello student, let us go to the next point, that is the design of rotor bars and slots for a squirrel cage type of rotor. So for the design of rotor bar, first of all we need to calculate the current in each bar. Okay, so we do have one equation from which we can calculate the current in each bar or the conductor bar. So that equation is current in each bar. It is denoted by IB. It is given by 2 times MS into KW into TS divided by SR into IS into cos phi. Okay, so what are these things? So MS is nothing but number of stator phases. Generally we are using 3 phases, so its value will be 3. KW is winding factor, you are aware of that. Its value is 0.955 generally. TS is the stator turns per phase. SR, it is the number of rotor slot. So that we have seen in a previous lecture, how to decide the number of rotor slot, what are the parameters we need to consider for selection of rotor slot, and IS is the stator current. And cos phi is the power factor. Okay, so for 3-phase machine, generally we are taking number of phases is equal to 3. So simply we can write down this equation once again as IB is equal to 6 times IS into TS divided by SR into winding factor KW and cos phi. Okay, or further we want to simplify this equation, we can put the value of KW and general value of cos phi, that is we can take between 0.9 to 0.95, then approximately we can say that this equation will be same as 0.85 this value into 6 times IS TS upon SR. Okay, the value of current in each bar. So this relationship can say that the rotor MMF is about 85% of the stator MMF. Okay, for the magnetization purpose. Okay, so let us move to the theory. Okay, further we will continue this theory. So next point in this theory is area of rotor bar. Area of rotor bar. So we are assuming that we already have the value of a rotor current IB from this equation. Now the area of a rotor bar. So for the squirrel cage induction motor, the rotor resistance is very much important. Okay, so before going to the area, we should know about the resistance of a rotor. So there is again a question that rotor resistance should be high or it should be low. So they have their own benefit, that if rotor resistance is high, R2 is high, it is going to give very good starting torque. Okay, that we already know from the torque slip characteristic, that high rotor resistance gives high starting torque. But if rotor resistance is high, also it gives very high I square R losses, and so that I square R losses will be high and efficiency will be poor. Okay, so that is the thing, the value of the rotor resistance depends upon the current density used for the rotor conductors. The higher the value of a current density, the lower is the conductor area and greater is the resistance. So the rotor design with a high value of a current density will have high starting torque and low efficiency because of high I square R losses. Okay, and the rotor resistance actually is the summation of resistance of bars and the end rings. So the cross section of bars and end ring should be selected such that the proper value of total rotor resistance is obtained. Okay, it can be a compromised value which can give good starting torque and also good efficiency. Okay, so intermediate value can be selected. We know that the rotor itself is a short circuit, so the total rotor resistance is the combination of end ring resistance and rotor bar resistance. Okay, so it is desirable to have some compromised value. Okay, because we in many applications we need good starting torque also, and also we cannot make rotor resistance so much high that it gives poor efficiency. So generally the value of current density, okay, it is having some range for induction motor rotor. Okay, generally it is 4 to 7 ampere per mm square, the value of the current density. Okay, in the rotor bar, it can be denoted as a delta B. Okay, and if you have the value of a current and if you have value of the current density, then you can find out the area. Okay, so a simple equation, the area of a rotor bar, okay, it can be the current divided by the current density. Okay, obviously the unit is going to be mm square. Okay, so that is regarding the area. Now one more important thing, it is the shape and size. Okay, in the same theory we have one more point to discuss, that is the shape and size of the rotor slot. So this thing is in a continuation, step by step we have to do for the rotor design. First of all, we need to calculate the current in each bar. After that we have to calculate the area, and after area is decided, then we will go for the shape and size of the rotor slot. Okay, so we already know that a rotor slot similar to the stator slot, it can be open type, closed type, and semi-closed type of a slot. Okay, and it has this kind of a design. Okay, let us say this is the bottom of some rotor bar. Okay, then the shape will look like this if semi-closed type slots are there. Okay, okay, it is not perfect, but semi-closed type. Okay, then this is totally closed type with a rectangle, and this is with a circular shape. Okay, so this kind of shape we can use to accommodate the rotor bars. Okay, so the closed slots are preferred for a small size of the machine because the reluctance of the air gap is not large because of the absence of the slot openings. Over here we do have a slot openings, over here we do not have the slot openings. Okay, and this gives the reduced value of a magnetizing current, and as the surface of the rotor is smooth, the operation of a machine is not noisy. Okay, and the biggest advantage of that is leakage reactance with a closed type of a slot is large, therefore the current at the starting it can be limited. Okay, so this is very useful in the case when in the machine which are started with the direct online starter or DOL starter, but the only disadvantage is their higher value of a leakage reactance XL. It will reduce the diameter of the circle diagram and hence reduced overload capacity, or in short this kind of a machine will not able to run at overload condition for longer durations. They will be overheated, and semi-closed type of a slot gives better overload capacity compared to closed type of a slot. Okay, rectangle shape of the bar of the slot are generally preferred, and many times we are going for the circular type of shape also. Okay, and also we do have one concept of a deep bar cage induction motor in which the deep slots are used, means when we go to the center of the rotor, okay, this much deep we have to accommodate the conductors. Okay, so they are kind of deep slots. Okay, so that is the thing with the shape and size. We need to consider the starting torque also. Okay, so that's why the deep slot give the increased leakage reactance and high flux density at the root or at the center of the teeth, so sometimes they are also considered. Okay, so any of the shape you can select. Okay, depending on the application requirement. Okay, and the last thing with this theory is the rotor slot insulation. So it is a question that a squirrel cage type of rotor is there in which we have the short circuited copper or aluminum bars inside the rotor slot. So do we need to insulate them? So actually there is no insulation is required between the short circuited copper bars in the rotor core, but yes, some clearance is always provided. Okay, about 0.15 to 0.4 mm of the clearance is there between the slot surface and the conductor. Okay, so that they cannot touch each other. Okay, otherwise we know that the squirrel cage type of rotor entirely it is one short circuit. Okay, but when skewing is provided, then generally this clearance can be bigger because the conductors are not going parallel to the shaft axis. Okay, and also while rotation we have to ensure the smooth rotation. Okay, so clearance can be bigger if skewing type of bars are using. Okay.